return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again and again to love, to love, to love. We return again to love.
Shana Tova. Oh, we can do better than that. Let's try again. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
You are few in the sanctuary, but mighty in spirit, and we welcome you. For those joining us online, we welcome you too. Wherever you are, near or far, we return again to this, our sanctuary, to this, our holy space, connecting in whatever way we can to step into these days, these holy days. Today, this Yom Kippur, which is all about returning, coming back to the very best of who each of us can be. So let's start that way as we move into song again together about returning. Just in your own mind, think to yourself, who's the best person I can be? What might that look like for me? How might I act? What might I say? This is the year that can happen. Judaism says that can happen today. Let's return.
We return,
We return,
we return,
we return,
we return, return again. We return,
we return,
we return,
we return,
we return, return again and again in truth, in truth, in truth, in truth. We return again in truth. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem Yananai Nanai 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 Yananai Nanai. We return again in truth. Love, we return again with love. We return again to you. We return again to you.
How good it is for us to be together. Let's sing Hine Matov.
Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim. Ay, 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 sheverachim gam yachad. Sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim. Ay, 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 sheverachim gam yachad. Sheverachim gam yachad. Ay, 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 sheverachim gam yachad. Sheverachim gam yachad.
So we are here together again for Yom Kippur. Raise your hand if you were here for Rosh Hashanah for family service. Oh wow, that's like almost 100%. We're so glad you returned. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur go together. They're partners. And the best experience of them is when you start with Rosh Hashanah, but you get to end with Yom Kippur. Because Yom Kippur is the day where we get to think about everything from the year before, but it's no longer the year before, right? We're in a new year. We started that together 10 days ago. Everything in front of us is possible. But for that to happen, we have to be willing to let go of whatever happened in the past, to say I'm sorry where we need to say I forgive you where we need to, so we really can let go and start the new year on the 10th day, not the 1st, with all of the hope and promise that it comes with. So think for yourself for a moment again. You were just thinking about who's that best person you can be. I want to invite you to think for a moment about this past year in the places where maybe you missed the mark, the places where you could have said, where you should have said, I'm sorry, the places where you still can, the places where you could have or should have said, I forgive you, and the places where you still can. Think about that for a moment. If you're sitting next to someone, a parent, a grandparent, if you're a parent or grandparent and you're sitting next to a child or grandchildren and you want to even share some of those thoughts, you're welcome to do that quietly. You have to be really brave to have those kind of conversations. People who are joining us on the internet, you're invited into that same invitation. Take just a couple seconds for that as we move into our service. We'll begin on page 76 in our prayer book. If you're joining us online, you can find the prayer book at www.nsci.org/HHD2021. Are you ready? Please rise.
Yana nai nai nai, 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 yana nai nai nai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yana nai nai nai, 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 yana nai nai nai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yadadai dai dai, yalalai lai lai, 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 yalalai lai lai.
Let's turn to page 79 and read together. As the night gives way to day, a morning picture is painted across our sky. The sun comes up as the morning uncurls, a wonder we can see and still wonder why. God who makes the sun shine and stars glow, you renew the cycle of creation day by day, giving light to our minds and our eyes, time after time with the dawn of each day. Each thing that God creates, God renews each day with love and care. Through God's light, we understand the plan and wonder of this world, which we all share. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Page 82. We'll join together in singing Shema. Shema is about how we are all connected, each of us to each other, and God to each of us and all of us. I'll invite you to get really quiet. If you want, you might even close your eyes. You can sing, but also listen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Page 86, we sing a song called Mi Chamocha, a song that reminds us of a time in which our ancestors were freed. But we are each and all of us free too. So when we sing this song, it's a great time for us to think about all the ways in which we are free. Free to live our lives, free to make a difference.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Let's join together on page 87 at the top of the page. During the holiest days of our year, we renew our promise to stand up for what is right. We will not stand with our feet frozen to the ground and our arms limp by our sides. We will not stay silent when our voice is needed. We will not hide. We will not walk away. When people are sad, we will comfort them. When people are mean, we will stop them. When someone is hungry, we will feed them. When someone is cold, we will find them shelter. When there are tears, we will dry them. When there are hopes, we will support them. We know how slavery and sadness feel. We renew our promise this day not to stand idly by when others are suffering. We renew our promise this day to bring all people into our song of freedom. Let's move forward to page 94. When you get there, I'll invite you to stand up. We sing Zochreinu only at the High Holy Days. It's an invitation to God to remember us, the best of who we are, and it's also an invitation for us to remember us, the best of who we can be.
זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
You can be seated. Let's move forward to page 103. We'll read in the gold box at the top of the page together. We thank you, God, for the year that has passed. We tried to do our best, but our best was not always good enough. At times, we aimed too high and missed or forgot ourselves and did things we knew we should not do. We are sorry for our mistakes. A new year starts with this High Holy Day season. Help us, O God, to do the best we can with the gifts you have given us. Help us to use our strengths and our talents to make the world a better place for all. Page 105, Lador Vador.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song.
We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong.
We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Lador vador nagid golecha, Lador vador protect this chain. From generation to generation, the door by door, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way.
And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor vador these lips will praise your name. Ledor vador nagid galecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor vador these lips will praise your name.
There's something really powerful about what it means to see another person for who they really are, for the best of who they are. And there's something really powerful about being seen for the best of who we are by someone else. And the first and most important place that happens is in a family. Parents see their children for the best of who they are. They see a lot of other stuff too. But parents always see the best of who their children are. Same for grandparents to their grown-up children and to their grandchildren. For kids, we might not always want to tell our parents that we can see the best of who they are too. But we can. And that seeing each other, Judaism says, is one of the places where you can find God. So if you're with your family right now, or sitting next to someone who you know and love, we're going to invite you to get a little touchy-feely. You can hold hands. You might even put your arms around each other. Let's say that the touchy-feely thing isn't for you, or you're not sitting next to anyone right now. We want you to know you're still a part of this, so you can even take your hands and just place them on your chest, over your heart. Our tradition has a blessing that reminds us how important it is to be known and seen. We'll share it together now. Feel your loved one's hand in your hand. Feel them close to you.
Ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 na. Yananai nai 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 Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha Ve'asem lecha shalom Ve'asem lecha shalom.
Don't let go. In your quiet space, parents or grandparents, we invite you to turn toward your children or grandchildren. Think to yourself of what you think your child or grandchild's most illuminating, fabulous, God-given quality that is uniquely theirs is. We'll invite you just to whisper it to them. Just a word.
Yananai nai 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 Yananai nai nai nai.
A secret. Yom Kippur family service isn't the only time and space where that can happen. There's something holy when we are seen and felt seen. The world out there is full of a lot of closed eyes. But in our homes and in our families, our eyes are always open. We pray open to the best. So kids, if you find your parents or your grandparents reaching out to hold your hand or place their arm around you and tell you something special, just go with it, okay? We invite you to turn to page 114 and to rise. Let's read together at the top of the page. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have missed the mark before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, help us bring an end to sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, help us write our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with patience as we continue to learn and grow. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu va'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu va'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim.
You can please be seated as we close the ark. We're going to turn to page 139 and then go back to 138. Let's read together in the gray box. Sometimes we miss the mark or we don't try our best. Sometimes we miss the mark on purpose and sometimes by accident. Sometimes we miss the mark by not caring and sometimes by being mean. Sometimes we miss the mark by acting like we are better than others and sometimes by not listening. Sometimes we miss the mark by telling lies and sometimes by hurting people's feelings. Sometimes we miss the mark by being selfish and sometimes by losing our temper. God, none of us is perfect. We remember the times we have missed the mark so that the next time we can do better. Forgive us and help us to try harder. Help us to learn from our mistakes. Help us to be the best people we can be. We're going to go back to page 138, and in just a moment, we're going to read on the top of the page where we list some of our sins, some of those places we've missed the mark this last year. Grown-ups in the room and kids in the room, you might have seen this before, but sometimes when we do this in a service, you might see people take their hand as a fist or even open and put it onto their heart and tap like this. Can you do that? Just get used to that for a second. So a lot of us were probably raised to do that, thinking that when we do that, we're supposed to hurt our heart. That's the way we wake ourselves up, by hurting, pounding on our heart. But I learned a different tradition the other day that really spoke to me, and I hope it'll speak to you too. Probably our hearts don't need more hurt. Probably most of us miss the mark because our hearts are hurt. So what if instead of pounding on our heart, we thought of this like knocking at the door, inviting our hearts to open, to know that they're going to be okay. They don't have to be hurt anymore. So you can keep your hand open, you can close it. But each of these lines we read, I want to invite you to knock on the door of your heart. See what it and you can hear. Let's read together. For all these wrongs, O God, we ask your forgiveness. For the wrong that we have committed before you with a confused heart. For the wrong that we have committed before you by lying. For the wrong that we have committed before you by making excuses. For the wrong that we have committed before you without meaning to do so. For the wrong that we have committed before you by being unkind to others. Let's sing together at the bottom of the page.
Ve'al kulam elo aslichot slach lanu mechalanu kapelanu ve'al kulam elo aslichot slach lanu mechalanu slach lanu mechalanu kapelanu.
We want to invite you to stand up as we open the ark to bring out our Torah.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai ציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
On the afternoon of Yom Kippur, we read a very special Torah portion, and we're going to hear that Torah portion in just a moment, brought to us from David Polish, who just came up on the bima. This Torah portion is called Kiddushim, and it is a list of all the different ways that we, Jewish people, Jewish families, people who are inspired by Judaism, can help make our world holy. The very center part of this Torah portion, which sits at the very center of the Torah, it's the heart of the Torah, teaches us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot more that a person needs to know to be holy. If we treat other people the way we want to be treated, if we love other people the way we want to be loved, if we forgive other people the way we want to be forgiven, well, there's not much holier than that. So we're going to join together for all of the adult Jewish grown-ups in the room, or anyone who'd like to join in who knows the blessings before and after. We'll do that all as one voice together. And then David Polish will come to read us Torah, which I believe will be projected right up there on that big wall, so you guys will be able to see the Torah scroll itself. Let's join together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisa p'nei dal, ve'lo tedar p'nei gadol, b'tzedek tishbot amitecha. Lo telech rachil be'amecha, lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, ani Adonai. Lo tisna et achicha biovavecha, hocheach tochiach et amitecha, ve'lo isa alav chet. Lo tikom ve'lo titor et b'nei amecha, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ani Adonai.
Let's join together in the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Yasher koach, David. Just in case you are out there wondering, I wonder how I could maybe read Torah on the bima at the High Holy Days. There are just a few prerequisites. One, you'll read Torah at your B'nai Mitzvah. And two, you come tell Rabbi Green, Cantor Goldstein, Rabbi Daniels, or me, you know, I'd like to read Torah on the High Holy Days. And we can help make that happen. David Polish, already back at your seat. This was your second time on this bima reading Torah. We say Yasher Koach to you. Yasher koach. We invite you, to please rise as we look to return our Torah to the Ark.
התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
So I want to share a little story with you. I don't think it's one you've heard before, at least not from me recently, but its message is one that I think you might know. And it starts like most stories do, a long time ago in a place that's not near here, very far away. There was a small house in a small village that was located on the far side of a grand mountain. To get by, the family who lived in this small house grew vegetables, and they raised chickens. And although they were able to sell some of their produce to local villagers, they really made their best profit selling the produce and eggs at the marketplace of the nearest city, to which they traveled only once a month. The challenge was the city was over a full day's journey away, and it required them to travel on a single road winding around the mountain in order to get to the town on the other side. As you can imagine, the market was incredibly important for this family because it is what gave them enough money to live from one month to the next. If for some reason they missed that day at the market, they would find themselves in a very vulnerable position, and they wouldn't be sure if they could make ends meet. So one day in the early fall, the mother of the family prepared to make this journey. She loaded up their family cart with all of their produce and the eggs that she planned to sell the next day at the market. She got all of her stuff together, loaded the cart with supplies, and was preparing to leave. And just as she did this, her son asked if he could join her for the journey this time. The mother agreed. Company's always good. And the two of them set off together. And everything was going just fine until they made their way around one pass of the mountain, only to encounter a boulder that had fallen from high above and landed right in the middle of the only road that could take them to the city. The mountain was on one side, a steep cliff was on the other, and there was no way around this boulder. The only way to continue on the journey would be to move the boulder. And almost immediately, the son, saw this as an opportunity to prove to his mother how strong he was. And so he told her, "I will move this boulder, Mom. Don't worry about it." He walked up to it. He leaned into it as hard as he could with his right shoulder, but the boulder didn't budge. He gathered some large branches and began trying to shove them underneath the boulder to leverage it to try to dislodge the boulder that way. That didn't work. The branches just broke. Attempt after attempt, nothing he tried could move this boulder, at which point he came back to his mother feeling embarrassed and weak. "I'm so sorry, Mom. We're going to have to miss the market this month. There's no way I could move that boulder. I tried everything I could think of." And so the boy's mom looked at him and said, "Did you try everything?" And he said, "Yes, everything." And she looked at him again and said, "Are you sure you tried everything?" And he said, "Yes, you saw me. I tried moving it with my body. I tried using branches. I lay on the ground and kicked it with my feet. Nothing I did could make the boulder move. It's not going to work." And the mom smiled and said, "Well, there is one thing you did not do." The boy thought about it for a second and he said, "What is it? What is it that I didn't do?" At which point she walked forward, extending her hand to her son, and she said, "You didn't ask me for help." With that, the boy and his mom together pressed all their might against the boulder, and wouldn't you know it, they started to get it to move just a little back and forth. And the more they pushed together, the more momentum together that they could build, the boulder started to move more, swinging more expansively, and finally it rolled right off the cliff, revealing for them the path to the market. And they knew everything was going to be all right. The truth is, all of us can relate to this family in some way. You don't have to be a kid to know that sometimes it's hard to ask for help. But did you notice that on the High Holy Days, when we come here thinking about everything we've done wrong and how we could change our ways, we don't come as one person alone in shifts. You're all here together. We're all doing this together because helping one another is part of what's needed for us to grow, to be better people. To be sure, asking for help is intimidating and scary, and we can worry we'll be perceived as needy, or maybe that if we ask for help, someone will tell us no. But really, nothing could be farther from the truth. Not only can reaching out help us encounter an obstacle too large to get around otherwise, but that very same reaching out can give others the opportunity to make a difference while helping them feel more comfortable about asking for help themselves. And that makes everybody stronger and better together. So it's the new year, day 10. We've thought a lot about how we can be better people, but let's also think about how we can be better people and the ways that we can ask for help in making that happen. None of us is alone. So we'll turn back to our prayer books, page 142. When we sing the prayer called Aleinu, in some ways, it's sort of like the Shema. The Shema happens toward the beginning of a service and Aleinu happens toward the end, but both of them remind us that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And ultimately, that thing that's bigger than us, that we're a part of is all one, all connected, never separated. So let's sing the Ne'emar, the Hebrew at the bottom of the page on 142. We'll invite you to rise.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
None of us are ever alone, and all of us come from somewhere. All of us are part of the generations that have come before us. So at nearly every Jewish service, for the High Holy Days, for Shabbat, every day, we mark the conclusion of the service with something called the Mourner's Kaddish, and it's a time for us to remember the people who aren't here with us anymore, the people who have passed away, but the people we think about, we hear about, the people we remember. If you have someone in your family, in stories you've heard before, who you remember, or whose name you want to say today, I'll invite you to say those names out loud. You can say them quietly, you can say them really loud. If you're with us on the internet, you can type them in the chat. Whether we say them out loud or whether we hold them in our hearts, we remember them. And our tradition has a phrase called that we say. It's called Zichronam Livracha. It means, may their memories be a blessing. Because when we remember people, we can choose just to remember their names, or we can choose to remember them for who they were and what qualities we want to remember and live by in our own lives. So let's say that together. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing. Let's join together in the final words of the Mourner's Kaddish in song. Page 146, the last 5 lines. Osei Shalom.
Shalom Kirama, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru. Amen. Osei Shalom Biroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru. Amen.
As our service draws to a close, we want to give our thanks to so many people, to the people who welcomed us into the sanctuary today or into our online sanctuaries, the ushers and greeters who keep us safe and everything beautiful for us. We thank you. To Dr. Roberta Goodman for bringing the Torah scroll to us right up there on that sanctuary wall. We thank you. To our maintenance staff, administrative staff, our production team, public safety, all the people who make this possible, thank you. Most importantly, we want to thank David Polish for bringing us Torah, the holiness code, no less. Yasher Koach again, David. And we want to thank Sela. As you guys were singing Lador Vador, I think it struck me, and I'm imagining it struck my colleagues up here, how for us, we watch you grow up through your generations. And many of you are seniors, which is hard to believe, in high school. And it has been a pleasure having you be with us, making our High Holy Days so holy. Many of you have amazing mentors in those seniors you're surrounded by, and we look forward to journeying with you as you make your way up that same line. Lador Vador is sort of like your anthem, whether you like it or not. But I think it's fair to say that I speak for the congregation when I say we love it because you make it holy, because you bring yourselves. And we are ever grateful to each of you and all of you for that. Thank you, thank you. Our service is going to conclude the way it began, with we return. For those who are interested, we do have an outdoor farewell to Yom Kippur Ne'ilah service for families right over that way. It will begin at 3:30. You are welcome to hang out on our grounds. We have pretty beautiful grounds. It is a beautiful day. So if you want to remain here, you're welcome to. Anyone is welcome to join us at 3:30 right over there on the south lawn. Please take the next few weeks as the opportunity to make acts of giving, tzedakah, a part of your family's life. You can do that right here at NSCI by donating kosher, non-perishable food and toiletries to the Ark, and gently used or new children's supplies to Cradles for Crayons. Both pods are in our north lot. Let's make sure that those are filled by the end of Sukkot. Everyone can be a part of that mitzvah. We wish you Shana Tova. Let's return together.
Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, return again and again with hope, with hope, with hope, with hope. We return again with hope. Hashivenu Adonai, we sing it. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. Yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai, yananai, nai, nanai. We return again. again with hope. With love, we return again with love. We return again to you. We return again to you.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Not so bad.